All right, good day, good day. This is live Q&A for struggling parents who know in their heart that there must be a better way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to say, if you're dealing with a child who's constantly arguing with you, hours of meltdowns, breaking things, hitting you, and the doctors are telling you that there's something wrong with them, my heart goes out to you
Yes.
because there's so much confusing information out there. It's like, where do you go? Who do you listen to? How do you know what's real or not real? And Thomas and I are going to share some solutions with you today and every day on our YouTube channel so that we can breathe life into you, so that you can have hope that there is an answer for your family to live in harmony and peace. And I got to pre-frame with this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to share different things than you've heard out there. The answer might not be what you're expecting it to be, because for the last, since 1968, so oh, long time, 50 some odd years,
32 plus 24, Bonnie.
for the last really long
56.
time, for the last really long time, parents have been told that their only hope for these kids that are acting out is medication and therapy and other ways to fix the kids from the outside in. And we're here to share answers, solutions, strategies, principles with you that will authentically heal your child from the inside out. And I just heard from a mom this morning, and she goes, "It's really hard for me because my son has anxiety and I have anxiety." And I want to just share that one of the top comments we get from our clients is, "I thought I was signing up for some parenting course. I didn't realize that it was going to be personal development for me. I didn't realize that it was going to bring my marriage back together. I didn't know that my beautiful, loving child was still in there because they really believe that something is wrong or something is broken." So, if you're ready for the truth, you're in the right place. If there's no part of you that can actually believe that your beautiful child is still in there and that we can heal from the inside out, we might not be the place for you. This is up to you to decide whether you want to hear us out or not.
True.
But do you want to just take a minute and talk about this? Because share about your after school program, your all day daycare, the education you got, the practical application.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and just fast forward to working with kids. I had a chance to earn my first black belt in 1994. And there was a time that when, right then is when I had a chance to step into a leadership role to run classes with new white belts. And there was a pivotal market, right, or moment right there where, oh boy, it's different being a student. Now you're in a leadership role. And I've always saw the same patterns, and you might see them too, and you probably know them because you lived them. That a yes or a no, kind of like heads or tails. And if you always said yes to a kid, you give them an inch, they always take a what, Bonnie?
A mile.
A mile. Could you ever fill a bottomless pit?
No.
Give. And pretty soon, when I actually practiced that, I gave so much that I physically collapsed and was bedridden for almost 3.5 weeks. There's no way to make that work. Or if you always say no, the other extreme, well, then you're basically telling them that you're not the person that's there to authentically help who? Them. And they're actually going to go behind your back or do what they're going to do without you. But it was that moment in there is that after dodging the bamboo stick for 5 years, knowing that that was a perfect class to make black belt, I thought, yes, no. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do the opposite of anything negative thought or negative feeling to guide these kids. Did I even know what that was going to be? No. But as I look back, it was a pivotal point that actually gave birth to creating Champions for Life, called Guiding Behavior versus Punishment, to help who? What I wanted them to be, or what it was that they were truly here to develop themselves. And so, with that being said, had many classes, It was very traditional classes. But what I also found is that there was a moment where parents were coming to me, usually single parents, kind of a ratio of 9 to 1 for dads versus moms. And you got the single mom with anywhere from 1 to 4 kids, and they're all in daycare. And they were like, well, it was the moment when one of the parents was like, my child has been kicked out of daycare for, you label it, any kind of bad behavior and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So what did you do? She goes, well, I went to another daycare, got kicked out. Another day in a 3 to 5 mile radius, and she was kicked out of every single daycare. And then she wanted her child to come here, but she was on what was called a state subsidy. So she paid a very small copay, and the state would help cover most of what the cost would be. And I'm like, well, let's see, how could you make this happen? So I went to the state in Washington State, and this is very unprecedented. It was never done before. And I said, I would like to qualify or apply to become a licensed daycare by the state. Why? Not because it was a bragging rights or something to do. It was out of a necessity to help not just one mom, but the pattern was 2, 3, 5, 10. I'm like, wow, there's somebody's got to step up, because what was this mom supposed to do? So going through that process, we became the very first licensed daycare center in all of Washington State.
Yay.
Right. And I remember the very first day of orientation, and I'm like a male walking into a dominant female room, and they're like, hi, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm here for orientation. And they're like, why? You're a martial arts school. Martial arts schools aren't daycares. But what I also found out is that our curriculum not only trumped what all the basic minimum requirements would be, but it had personal development, which made it a life skills training center. And that's when things started to really take off. So now we were before school, after school, and an all-day summer camp for parents that were looking for help to develop their kids, but they didn't know what it would be, because boy, when kids were able to actually behave better at home and at school, because we tied all three of them together, things really started to take off.
Right, but you got 2 child development degrees
Oh,
to
correct.
become a daycare. Talk about the practical application. Did they
Yeah.
work with kids?
Well, I'm licensed to do what I do pretty much globally because of the education and the ranking that I have. But the state required a 2-year certificate of early childhood education and things. So I went to the local community college where they had them at, and I got 2 of them. And what I found is that there was a lot of textbook stuff, a lot of things that you got a chance to learn, and it was great information. But what's the difference between knowing something and doing something?
Mm-hmm.
Night and day. Everybody knows how to ride a bike, right, Bonnie? Sit on it, pedal, something gets in your way, steer. But getting on it and doing it, oh, that's a
Right.
whole new world. Pretty soon you start experiencing, how did a parked car and a fire hydrant jump right out in front of me?
Right.
And so what it means is that no practical co-op education was ever offered. None. You never worked with any kids in a practical application when you learn these so-called theories of all the past people. And so when
Well,
people came out and
yeah.
actually started to apply what they're learning to kids, the kids still ran circles around them, every single one. And I had probably a half a dozen of the other students that I learned that were in the classes came to the school because they found out who it was. And they too were falling flat on their face. They had the knowledge, but there's a whole different world when you actually apply it.
They had the knowledge, but they didn't have your knowledge. They had
Correct.
traditional knowledge. So I've been
Yes.
seeing advertisements recently. It's like, get your parent coaching certificate in 40 hours, become a parent coach with no practical application. We have therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, teachers, special aid teachers who are clients of ours that totally transform their businesses, their practices, and their classrooms. In fact, we had a psychiatrist join our program just last week, and she's like, I've watched about 20 hours of your videos, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to go back and be a psychiatrist anymore because I just don't believe. And that's because the intent, what is the intention behind being like even just being a parent? So these are things that I want you to ask and answer for yourself. We go live Q&A every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. here on our YouTube channel. If there's something that you don't agree with, something that you don't understand, something that you'd like to talk through, this is the place where you're going to come. And, just so you know, why would you listen to us? Like, Tom's worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids over the last 35 years. And I was where you're at right now. Back in 2011, I had 4 kids all dealing with anxiety, depression, ADHD, ODD, and my life was just a nightmare. I prayed to God for an answer, and enter Tom Leota 18 years after I had a dream to find a way to empower all kids before the age of 12, because I knew in my soul that if kids knew the formula of success, that they wouldn't do all the crazy things that teenagers do. We know them as rebellious teenagers. We've come to accept that as truth. But the Creating Champions for Life teenagers aren't rebellious teenagers. They're happy, healthy, cooperative kids, believe us or not, and you will not know unless you actually give it a shot. So I do have some questions that were sent in to us, and I'm going to ask right now. I want to say hi, Carlos.
Yeah, good
And
morning.
Jessica, welcome, welcome. My lifelong friend, Kay, has just reconnected with me recently. She is somebody with a psychology as well as a philosophy degree. She works in a large child care center, works with 14 kids a day, and she's changing her life around with Creating Champions for Life. And Angela, we are so blessed to have you as part of our team. So this is the place. Go ahead and post your question in the comments. If you're watching this on a replay, post your question anyway, and we'll get back to it next Thursday when we go live. So we want to share proven techniques. And I want to say proven techniques. I want to say we're going to share life-changing principles that exist everywhere, whether we know about them or not. We know gravity exists. A 2-year-old might not understand gravity. They might walk off the edge of a cliff or a balcony because they don't understand that it works no matter what. And that's what we're talking about here. Principles that will heal your child and yourself from the inside out every time, no exception. All right. So let's just get right into the question. The first question is, well, why does my child constantly argue and refuse to listen even when there are clear rules, or I want to use the word boundaries because that's a trending word?
Well, the short answer is because he can. And that may not be the romantic answer, but I want to just add a +1, Bonnie, because you asked, what is the intention of the relationship between all parenting? Neglectful, permissive, authoritative, and the authoritarian. That's all the parenting that they have applied or allowed you to use. And what does it all have in common? It's a root. And when you can see this root, it would explain a lot of stuff. Well, you might have a short-term win, but a long-term loss. It's the intention. What is the relationship between a child and an adult? It looks like this. I'm right, you're wrong. My way or the highway. There could be nothing wrong with me. Everything has to be and is talked about. There's something wrong with the child. It's that one way view that creates all the chaos, all the disorders, all the negative thoughts and feelings that go associated with where it would be. And if you're looking for true evidence, why is it that the industry has been growing exponentially over not days, weeks, months, years, or decades? But what's bigger than a decade? A century? The century, this whole last century has been growing in that direction, not in the thousands, millions, but billions with a B, called medication. Simplicity, boil it down, it's called popping a pill. Introduce Creating Champions for Life, which is instead of popping a pill, they're just missing a life skill. So instead of like this, we look at it as like this together. My approach is off the mark because this little genius is just here to embrace their own uniqueness. And there's not one thing wrong with the child, even on its worst day.
We just
Period.
lost 98% of the people, which is totally
We're
totally
supposed
fine.
to.
Because I say that because we have been so conditioned to believe that something's wrong with the kids. And so when you're looking for answers, yeah, but like you don't understand my kid. My kid constantly argues. There's got to be something wrong with the kid. And the truth is like our babies aren't born with spider web making 101 ability, right? Like kids don't have instincts. They don't come out of the womb knowing how to sit up straight in a chair, knowing what manners are, knowing how long they should play on a video game, knowing that they should have their dinner before the ice cream. Like they don't know any of this, and they're counting on us to show them and teach them. And we have a 22-month-old granddaughter, and so I am seeing this little baby through new eyes, because when I had babies, of course, I was taught the whole set boundaries, correct in the moment, timeouts, takeaways. Like life was a living hell parenting that way. But now I'm seeing this little toddler through new lenses, and I know she doesn't know what a hot burner is. She doesn't know that if she climbs up on a ladder, she could fall and hurt herself. She knows nothing about how the world works. And I also know that she wants an opportunity to have a say. She wants to have the power. She wants to climb that step ladder all by herself, and don't you dare touch me. I want to do it. I see a 22-month-old who can hop up and down the stairs without help. I see a 22-month-old that goes to daycare, takes her shoes off, puts them on a shelf, grabs her indoor shoes and puts them on. The daycare workers are going, wow, she's so smart. No, she's not smart. I mean, she's smart, but like they're all smart. It's not the smartness. It's not that she was born to know how to put her shoes away. We have been guiding her. Not one time have we ever said, no, we don't do that. Don't hit, because the truth is that babies, children cannot think abstract. And so as we are being taught to explain, talk things through, lecture our children and things like this, we think that they can see the world the same way we do. Now, right now we're talking about, yeah, but why does my kid constantly argue? Well, because they don't like being told what to do. Just like you don't like being told what to do. Nobody likes being told what to do. This is a universal truth. Are you with me on this? Does this make sense? If it does, share in the comments if you're here, if you're watching the replay. So, what if there was a way that you could guide your little genius in a way that they would not argue, in a way that they would work with you in harmony? Angela is here, and she said something on one of our mentorship calls last week. She said, is the intention to dominate over or to partner with? Do you want to be somebody who I can take you down? I've heard moms go, I can take you down, to their teenagers. But is that what we really want? Or do we actually want a close connected relationship? Do we want to empower our little genius spirits to be all that they can be from the inside out? Because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is the truth, we have dozens of case studies, hundreds of testimonials. Thomas has worked with hundreds and hundreds and over 2,000 kids. And every single one of these children come to life when we operate with the partner with theory, when we operate with the partner with idea or intention versus dominate.
Yes.
So do you have anything to say about what I've just shared, or
Yes.
okay? Because we're talking about, the question
In
was, just to make sure it gets answered, why does my
tension.
child constantly argue and refuse to listen even when there are rules in place? So
Yes.
let's keep on that track.
It's the intention with the relationship. Because, see, when the intention's clear, the method, like how and when and where, always just naturally appear, just automatically when you follow the correct path. So when you're saying, like you did said, who likes to be told what to do? Well, there is a part or a flip to that, is that we love to be told what to do when it's 100%, if not 99.9999989% in whose benefit or favor, the child or the adult. See, when you're telling them what to do, it's all about you. But when a child knows that they have a trusted advisor and you're telling them what to do next, that's all in alignment with who? I'll give you a hint. It's not you, it's them. They love to be told what to do. This is why we practice that sacred game called Simon Says. So if somebody was, I have a goal, and this is the child on how to acquire ice cream, they're going to listen to you every step of the way when they know that all the steps to get there is you're on their place, is I'm here to help you get that too. Of course, we know that their timing's off because it's 10 minutes before dinner. Duh. Do they know that? Like Bonnie already explained, they don't understand sequence and order. So when you get these actual labels, and one of my favorites is the attention deficit. Well, it's because the attention deficit is on you and not them. That's the deficit. How about an attention surplus? It's all about them and their goals. Hyperactive disorder. Hyperactive just means you're engaged. You're going for it. The disorder is it's all about me, not you. So hyperactive order. You see, when you're showing them, okay, you want ice cream? I love ice cream too. Do they know that dinner comes first? You can tell them till the day's done. But when you show them how you made the ice cream show up, ice cream's here. It's called second. Dinner's first. When I serve my plate, and this is key, this is always
This
missed
is
by
so
all the
simple.
moms.
It's just gonna be like, what?
So the moms actually, and I love you, moms, because you were taught that your self worth is based on how much you do for, and we're going to break that. But when you have them a plate and you serve it, so what you take is what you finish. If you take a little, you can always come back. They love being able to do that one. No, first and foremost, if you ever have a picky eater, stop putting food on the plate. They're actually saying, I wanted a turn, but they don't know the lingo yet. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Wow.
So once I finish my dinner, I put a little potato, I got the meat, I got the vegetable. Nom, 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 nom. All done. Yay. I take my plate, I put it into the sink. They're watching this. This is what's key. Now, based on who put the food on their plate? I did. Who ate all the food? I did. Who put that over there? I did. Well, you know what that means. Yeah, that means I earned ice cream. You see, somebody had to do these steps called requirements to make the ice cream show up. And if we never let them know the truth that there's always an A, B, and a C before you get to D,
Right.
and you do A, B, and C without even letting them know, it's all in your head. You're like, well, they should know. I told them. Oh, how's that working? Right? But you show them, then the sacred whole thing that's heaven on earth has been here the whole time. It's called monkey see, monkey do. You do what I do, you can have it too. There's no dictation in there, no bribery. They run on what we call Go power.
Okay, so let me clarify. What you're saying is that the children constantly argue and refuse to listen even when the parents give them rules and boundaries because they want an opportunity to show off their greatness. And we can look in our rear view mirror because my kids were ages 6 to 13 and I never once asked them a question. I never once allowed them to show off their greatness. I was showing off my greatness. I thought I was the best mom in the world because I
True.
was a servant to my kids. I had
True.
3 levels and 4 kids. And mom, I'm thirsty. Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, Jacob hit me. And I would run from floor to floor, doing damage control, playing the referee, playing the maid, playing the servant. And I never once gave my children an opportunity to live their own life. And I want to share this story too, because I remember when Darian came, he was about 5
Mhm.
and he was getting something out of his suitcase. And I was like, wow, look how nicely your suitcase is packed. And he goes, well, I didn't do any of
I
it.
didn't do that.
My mom did it for me. Now that might hit you in the soul if you're hearing this for the very first time. If you're hearing it for the 5th or 10th time, Jessica, you might be like finally understanding my child wants an opportunity to show off their greatness. So they constantly argue with you because all they want, like we've been taught to say no. No, we don't hit. It's okay to have feelings. We're taught to validate the feelings, but I won't let you hit. We're in control of their body and their actions when we say, I won't let you hit. How many of you have done this again and again and again, but the next day the child still hits? And I'm going to give you the secret for that. It's because they don't know what to do instead. We've never said, be gentle, be nice, touch me like this. And when we do that with a toddler, it starts in the toddler years. And if they're 10 years old and they're still hitting, then it might take a little longer to correct, but it can be corrected. Your child can grow new neural pathways and develop new habits. This whole idea of your child is missing neural pathways and they don't have the ability to focus, so we need to medicate them. It's a lie. And if I were the devil from the negative side of the universe, I would tell you that lie and I would make you believe that lie. Because when you actually study dopamine, neural pathways, how the brain actually works, it has been proven that the brain, even with long term drug addicts who have killed many, many brain cells, it is documented that that person can grow new neural pathways around the old dead cells with conscious life skills training. So, are we saying that the symptoms of ADHD doesn't exist? No, of course they do. Children are not able to focus. Children have not ever practiced self-control. We've tried to make them comply. We've tried to force them to do what we want them to do. Are you with me? If you're with me on this, if this makes sense, make sure to give us a like, because when you like or you share a comment here, other parents are able to find this. And this truth is so great. Like I almost lost my kids because I believed in the lies. And that's a huge price to pay, rather than just going, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something I can do to authentically help my child. Thomas mentioned a few minutes ago attention deficit disorder or attention surplus disorder. The kids are craving attention. I'm going to cry. The kids are craving attention. They're craving positive attention. And the one first thing that I saw when I saw Thomas's beautiful creating champions for life principles was the proactive attention. Role play with them, show them what to do, guide them in their life. Be somebody that they can go, you are just my greatest hero in the world, as they look at you in awe. This can happen no matter where you're at on the spectrum, no matter how bad things are. When we go from being reactive, negative attention, Tom said he made a decision to do the opposite of anything negative. And you give them proactive, unconditional, loving attention with role play, with making plans, with consciously teaching life skills, by playing the game of monkey see, monkey do, by playing the game of Simon says, follow the leader. Hey, look, we're going to clean up the toys. Let me show you what that looks like. We put it in here. I'm telling you, Harley's been putting away her own markers since she was like 14 months old, since she learned how to actually hold a marker and color at the end when we're done. We start putting in, and she wants to automatically help.
Monkey see, monkey do.
How many times have you thought it's just faster to do it myself?
Short-term win, long-term loss.
It is faster to do it yourself because you're a big kid and you've done it 50 million times. You've had an opportunity to practice, to have your life mean something, to take action. And my 12-year-old never even had an opportunity to pack his own camping bag until I learned about creating champions for life.
True.
And he was diagnosed with ADD in grade 1 because 20 years ago that's what they called it. Now they've changed the name to ADHD, and if you look through the history books, if you really just don't take their word for it and you do your own research and due diligence, you will see that every couple of years they change the name. And we have clients that come to us after 10 years of heavily medicating their kids, but still nothing works. I mean, Rachel joined us. Her kid was 14, heavily medicated since the age of 5, alternative schools, 10 years of therapy. He still ended up going to jail, in and out of jail 9 times. She does a 90-day parenting challenge with us. Oh, guess what? My son's doing school. He's cleaning the house. He's coming home. He's getting along with me. We have a relationship I never dreamed possible. I'm telling you, it is possible. What does Jessica say? My baby is so great at cleaning up. I still struggle with my 5-year-old. Yeah, well, the older they are, the more neural pathways they have already created. They already have habits, right? And so it's hard to go in there and rewire a brain, but you can do it through constant repetition. And Jessica, when you get into like the Creating Champions for Life responsibility star chart, and your 5-year-old is responsible to make everything and anything in his life show up, he'll step up. They all do.
True. And there's some a baby takes 9 months, a chicken takes 28 days, a pumpkin from seed to carving is basically 3 months. This is a universal principle. It's law of gender. There's an incubation time. And man has been attempting to mess with this his whole life, and every time he does, it goes to hell in a handbasket. There's been no exceptions to this. Here's the truth. Think of a 1 to 10. Do you have the patience to actually be there? While they're doing it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. I've already lost some of you. 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8, 9, 10. 10 times, there's this magical moment called the ball went in the basket. How many times? Once.
Mhm.
And this is called a ratio. When you do something 10 times, you're going to get at least 1. That's when the neural pathway connects. Repetition is going to be that second law of learning. So to recognize that there's this ratio, tying a shoe, putting their shoes where they sleep could take up to 10 times before it happens once. Now, anybody who's worked with us goes, oh my gosh, it showed up and the dish was in the sink. And when we look at the bigger picture, there was probably 10 opportunities and it happened once. We focus all of our attention on that. Once that ratio is done, the child now has a neural pathway that's connected that goes, I went from Can'tville I can't do anything because you've done everything, to I can do it.
Mm.
And it's that magical moment right there called, and thus I am sold myself, better known as enthusiasm. There's no way you could tell that kid you can't do it when they just did. This magical moment is what is a cornerstone of all the kids that I work with. When the parents will bring them and go, yeah, can you fix my kid? Fix my kid.
Yep.
And then repetition starts to build on that. So, what if they are able to throw the ball and it misses the basket? Well, look at that. You made the ball go forward. That's the victory, not in the basket. Bite the bite, bite the bite, so we can find something to chew that is worth celebrating.
Mm.
Once you go forward, then there's accuracy. It went to the left and the right, and then there's distance. When those three click, the ball went in.
Okay.
And I'm giving you probably a process that is like, well,
What's she actually
I
saying?
don't have
Why does
this
that have to
time.
do with my kid arguing with me? And I get it because I've been working with you for so long. Tom speaks kid. We are going to teach you to speak kid. We've been taught to speak grown up, adult. We're like,
Dictator
just
bribing
give
over
me the answer. I
compensator.
just want my kid to listen to me. And what you're saying, like, okay, let me share what he's saying. When he shared this with me 14 years ago, find something and praise it today. I went the whole day and we talked the next day, and I was like, I didn't find one thing to praise today. Are you with me on this?
Did anybody
Say
grow up with
yes.
Where's Waldo book?
Well, let me just share, because what he was saying is, oh, look at you eating your dinner, holding your fork, sitting on the chair. What he was saying is, find something, anything that they're doing, and just validate their actions. We've been told to validate emotions. We've not been told to validate actions. They want to be seen by you. They're
Yes.
craving attention. And if they don't get attention in a positive way, well, they're going to get it in a negative way. And children come in 2025 today. They are born into a world where they're going, hell no, we won't go. Stand up and look at me. Look at me stand on the ladder. Look at me hold my sippy cup, right? Like, look at me. I want to cook with you. I never say, go away, Harley Faith. It's dangerous in here. Since she was 13 months old, she stands on this little step ladder. I took her hand. I turned the burner on. I took it. I held it over the burner so she could feel the heat. And she went like this. And she will never touch a burner, whether I'm in the room or not in the room, because I taught her what heat is. All right. So we want to look for every opportunity. With the first time you ever met Angela's grandkids, Jax, and he showed him how to open the yop, and then he was drinking the yop, and then he went like this, and the yop spilled on the floor, and Tom just validated.
Out.
That's called out
Good job.
on the floor. Now what do we do? And then he showed Jax to get the little paper towel, and he cleaned it up. And then guess what Jax did a little while later? Well, he spilled some yop on the floor, because why? He wanted to show off, I know how to clean that up.
And I even know where the
Our
paper towels are, too.
children are little use. They're little baby, tiny human beings with zero life skills, no idea how the world works. And when we go, oh, the kid should be born with spider making 101, they should just come out of the womb and do what I say to do because I'm the parent and they're the child, and they argue with me and they don't listen to me, something must be wrong with them. Did you know that ADHD wasn't even in the textbooks until 1968? 22 years after the introduction of the theories of authoritative parenting. Now, can you get the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book? I did all the research for you. It's over there. I did all the research for you and put it into a 1.5 hour audiobook that we give away. I would love everybody to listen to the audiobook. You can go to Amazon and buy it, Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids. I have had this. I have had this told to me that this is the most real, relevant, and powerful information to exist for parents and teachers, because it shows the pathway. It shows the birthway of Child behavior disorders started in 1968. Did you know that oppositional defiant disorder wasn't even in the psychological, how do you call it, the DSM, the medical textbooks that all of our psychiatrists are learning until 1980? And did you know that back in 2011, 2 out of 100 kids showed signs of oppositional defiant disorder, but today it's 20 to 25 out of 100 kids? Did you know that? Did you know that more than $300 billion a year is being spent on mental health issues on our children in the United States alone? When you said billions of dollars, I'm talking on a global scale. Over $1 trillion is being spent on the mental health crisis. And the only one that can save your child is you. And if you're willing to look in the mirror and accept responsibility that, like, oh my God, like maybe the textbooks are all based on theory. Maybe none of the authors ever actually worked with kids and they don't know the truth, because you can fix things from the outside in. You can medicate your kid. It will not teach them the life skills that they need to thrive in this world with or without you. They are counting on you to see them, to see their greatness, because the worst possible thing in the world would be to tell your child that there's something wrong with their brain and they grow up for the rest of their lives thinking, well, you can't count on me, my brain's broken. Moms, dads, the whole world will give you a plethora of excuses and alibis to live a mediocre life, to struggle every day as a parent, to watch your child get sent to this treatment center and this mental hospital. When the truth is, it's the parenting. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. They've been teaching us authoritative theories. They dress it up in balanced, gentle, attached, peaceful, conscious parenting. They wrap it up in a pretty bow and they go, no, Dr. Becky, just grab your child's arm and say, it's okay to have feelings, but I won't let you hit. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Does the 2, 3, 4-year-old now know what to do to get what's important to them to actually show up?
No.
They don't. And you could spend your whole entire lifetime in this cycle of, like, I'm just going to say stupidity. A cycle of stupidity. Not you're stupid. The theories that they've created are stupid. And I'm going to close this argument with this. The grandfather, Dr. Spock, it's right behind you. Get it. Dr. Spock wrote this book in 1946. Before this book, parenting wasn't even an industry. So thank you, Dr. Spock, I guess, for creating an industry. This 900-page book that teaches you to redirect and use a naughty mat. And in the first edition of this book, parents were asking, but how do I keep my toddler in the crib? Do you know what his answer was?
Take a volleyball net, wrap it around the top, and bungee cord it so they cannot get out.
Does that resonate in your soul as, oh, that's the truth?
Now, I'm not saying it's true, but why would a show that was called, oh gosh, it was on a TV show. It was a game show.
Jeopardy. It was Jeopardy.
But it was that new one. It was like Truth or Dare. Like, oh, I think it was Bull Spiritual Harmony Integrating Totally. Right? And it was up on the TV show, and it actually said, A, slather the crib with Vaseline.
So they can't get out.
B, wrap a
badminton
net around so they can't get out. And then obviously C and D. And the answer was B. This was on national television. So sometimes you just can't make this stuff up, but it was done in a funny way. And you're like, okay, now let me think about this. A child's in and you want to, are we training them for a cell?
I mean, is the intention to help your child grow into a successful human being, or to lock them in their crib so you can do the dishes? Like, on it, we have to ask this for ourselves. We have to think for ourselves, because this book has been fully revised and expanded with new theories by Dr. Robert Needleman, MD, another doctor, studying books written by the pharmaceutical companies. If we want to keep believing these lies, our children are going to lose and you're going to lose. We're here to wake you up to the truth, and the truth will set you free. This book is 900 pages. Our book with 12 principles is a quarter of the size, way easier to read, and it's based on principles after working with thousands of kids. Dr. Spock didn't work with children. He was a doctor. He made this up. And 22 years after the release, actually, no, not 22 years, when his grandson was 22 years old in, I don't know, 1987 or something, but his grandson committed suicide. I guess we call it unlived. I don't know how you say it in today's world. Trying to be politically correct for YouTube. And the number 2 cause of death for our youth today is the same cause that his grandson died with. So you get to choose now, who do you want to follow? All right. So
when
children,
when you get resistance from the kid in the question, they're basically in their only way that they can communicate is, wait a minute. I was promised when I showed up here in physical form that I would mimic something that I'm ready to learn. Like everybody knows that if you tell the child no, they eventually do what, Bonnie? Hey, get over here.
no.
And we miss that critical window. Oh, that's right. You learning. Now you know no, we can teach you yes. So when they do start to mimic, that's when we validate. Oh, I see how you are beginning your career as a chef. I go into the kitchen, and did they ever see you open up a bag of flour? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Yes, they did. And when they open up a bag of flour, and did they do it as good as you? Well, let me ask you, did you walk, ride a bike, drive a car perfectly? No. You too spilled the bag. And when the bag's all over the kitchen floor, instead you come in guns a-blazing. And then right there, creating champions for life would be like that. Honey, guess who's ready to learn cooking? They're showing me how they opened up the bag. And that's the magic.
That's a validation. That's exactly what we're talking about and what your children are craving. And Jessica, I want to just wrap a big hug around everybody who's here who has been told that their child has this disorder or that disorder or whatever. They keep coming up with new names. They have IED, pathological demand disorder now. IED is intermittent explosive disorder. That's if a child melts down sometimes, but not all the time. It's not funny. It's like, even if your child has a diagnosis, now what? There's no like, okay, we can take an x-ray of your child's brain. They have something wrong with them. Like, there's no fix, if that makes sense. So I want to just breathe life into you and your kids, because Thomas Edison was kicked out of school in grade 3 for being unteachable. Well, he invented the light bulb. He invented the world that we live in today. Einstein didn't talk until he was 4 years old. If he was born in this day and age, they'd have him medicated and going to therapy. But if you ask him, or if you watch a documentary, he'll just say that he was thinking, he was pondering, he was processing. Okay, he's a philosopher. We've got Henry Ford, right? He didn't have more than a grade 8 education, but he surrounded himself with people that did have an education. So when you're being told that your child has this disorder or that disorder, what I want you to do is write down, well, what are the symptoms of these disorders? Okay. And then equal and opposite to the other side, what are the symptoms? What life skills do they need to learn? What neural pathways have they not developed in this whole world of we do everything for our kids and they do nothing for themselves? That's the kind of world that we're kind of in today. The parent's job is to come in and correct behavior in the moment without ever validating the actions or their desires, their goals. All right. So, this is how to help your children from the inside out. What life skills do we need to focus on? And even if you have a 14-year-old or an 18-year-old, you might need to go back to the very first set of life skills. How to get mom's attention, how to set a goal, how to follow directions, how to play Simon Says. The problem is if we give our children an easy life, then they never have the first step of success. They never have the first step to work on themselves.
Go from can't to can.
Right. Because we have been told, even in success books, that the number one step to success is to have a goal, to know what you want. But even before you could have a goal, you must have a desire to achieve the goal, a burning desire to be, do, and have something that you don't have or you're not already. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when Harley says, and I'm using her because she's 22 months old, so it doesn't matter where you're at. Like if a 14-year-old, they're going to just want different things, right? They're going to want girlfriends and parties and nights out. They're going to want things, whether you want them to or not. It's going to happen. But if a 22-month-old can have a goal, what does she want? She wants to color. She wants to dance. She wants to have a dance party. So if we're coloring and she wants to dance, then what does she do first? Okay, let's do this first, then dance. She puts the coloring away first. Then we move on to the dance. There's always this beautiful ebb and flow. Goal, plan, action, perseverance. I see your hand up, Tom.
Because there's that correct right there. Everything is a disorder. And when you can now correct everything into an order, that's the magic. It's not a matter of her jumping from one to the other, but somebody's got to put those pens away. And if all she did was watch you do it before you went to that, that's key. That helps go every disorder back into this natural sequence called order.
That's
I know
awesome.
it's so simple, but sometimes things that are so simple to do are also simple not to do. And when they're introduced to you for maybe usually the very first time, it's like, where have you been my whole life? It is so simple, never easy, because nothing's supposed to be easy, but it's so simple. And everybody has a chance to go from Hellville to Heavenville. It's just waiting for you to have that goal inside to go, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Um, yes. And here, like it's simple, not easy. It's like Carlos said, erasing no from my conversations with my kids has been hard, but it has been very productive.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, if you're here, if you're watching the replay, wherever you're at, do you have a question? Do you have a comment? Do you have an observation? Are you loving what we're sharing? Give us some love. Give us a like, share a comment, ask a question. And if you're watching this, like I said earlier, but you might have missed it through the week, and you have a question, just post it here and we will get to it next Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, every Thursday morning. The last two questions that were sent to us, I'm going to put all into one because they're both about aggressive behavior, meltdowns. So, one is, how do I handle aggressive behavior without escalating the situation or losing control? And then the second one, which is probably going to answer the first one, is what are some practical steps I can take to prevent meltdowns before they start?
Number one, the child, if they knew what to do from your perspective, they would have already done it. So they're stuck in Can'tville. I can't do this without you because one, you won't let me, or you've never showed me how to be independent from you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to turn. When do I get a turn? Because the clock is ticking. And let's just use the classic from 0 to 18. I've got 18 years, mom, dad, to transfer everything that you know how to do, be, and have over to your amazing genius offspring. You might just call them kids. That's the sacred relationship. That's our prime directive in creating champions for life. It's called knowing your role as a parent. It's not a briber with strings attached. It's not the dictator that always has something to criticize. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do it my way or the highway. And it's definitely not to violate what's in the animal kingdom. There's no animal that does for, does for, does for, does for, does for until you die. Every one of them knows to transfer so they can launch out and be independent. And when we realign that, all of these questions never get asked anymore.
Right.
So this child is doing nothing more until we break their spirit and they become docile, compliant, and obedient. They're standing up for their right to say, you're supposed to show me the way, not tell me how you want me to do the way. So come back to something fun. They're standing up for themselves. Can we validate? I love your drive and confidence to actually stand up, because that skill right there is going to protect you from the wrongness where I would not send the sheep amongst the wolves when you leave. I love your confidence. Let me take a moment and just hit pause. Like in a game, if the ball goes out of bounds, we hit timeout. And just breathe. Okay, let's just let that go. Let's just take a moment, because we're standing like this. Opposition. They want to score the goal. You're the goalkeeper blocking it. Let's take a moment and just me go, do, 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 and let me look at it from your perspective. What is it that I am not willing to let go of through fear, anxiety, or doubt that's holding you to learn what it is that our sacred relationships is all about? I can see that it's frustrating, because I too would go to the customer service department and I'm looking for help, and they're saying, well, I don't do that. It's not my job. And I got loud too. And I slammed the door and I said all the words that are not supposed to be said. Let me look at it from their perspective. You see, we've got a magical gift that we may not even be exercising right now. And this might be why you showed up, and this might be the perfect window for you. Can a child see the world with no life experience from your perspective? Can a 3-year-old hyper leap to 30 years and know what it is that you're even talking about? Because you sound a lot like Charlie Brown's teacher. I hear it. I don't even know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can go back and see it from their perspective and go, you know what? You just want to be able to have a turn in life and learn how to do it by yourself. And I might be missing the life skills on how to actually do that, because I survived the gauntlet from my parents. And all I did was do the opposite of what my parents did, which is either too hard or too soft. And what if creating champions for life, just like in the book for the 3 little bears, was just right?
And it is too hard, too soft, just right. That's creating champions for life. Absolutely. Okay, so I love that, Tom. This is such huge awareness, because are you going to be able to come for an hour and then just go change your life? Probably not. But are you being made aware that some of the things that we've been taught about parenting are a little off the mark, and that there is a way to wake up your child? So Jessica, I'm going to get to your question in just a second. I just want to make sure that I share the mom perspective. In the beginning, when we're first working with families who come to us with like aggressive behavior, meltdowns that are like outrageous, um, there's some steps to take before you can just turn things around. Number one, we find that these children have never been introduced to their champion self. They are being run by their victim self because that's all that they know. Babies are born with one language, that is to cry. A newborn baby can scream louder than most adults, right? They need to. I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm bored, I'm uncomfortable. They cry. And then when they turn about 18 months old, they start getting into everything and we start telling them no and we start redirecting. Instead of teaching them about the hot burner, we redirect them away from the hot burner and we're not developing that neural pathway for them to learn what the burner's all about. They just want to learn. And every time they go to touch something or do something and we're telling them no, get into this box. Now they're 3, they're 4, they're 5. We call them terrible 2s, horrific 3s, effing 4s I've seen. It's terrible. And then, of course, they have a natural rebellion at the age of 5 or 6. I mean, this is just what we're being taught in the textbooks. It's not the truth. The truth is that if we learned every time our baby went to go do something or be something or have something and we showed them about it and we taught them about it, you would never end up with a child whose only choice is to explode with an angry, violent outburst. We've seen these transformations from the most violent, aggressive behavior to the most outstanding, loving kids. So we've seen it. We have case studies to prove it. So this is what we're talking about is a reality. So how do I handle the aggressive behavior without escalating? The only reason that you would escalate is when you don't have a master plan in place. You're reacting. Everything's out of control. It's like being in the middle of a house fire without an escape plan. You're going to lose control. So what do? You need a plan. Where can your child go be aggressive, violent? What is your plan to do? If you have a 14-year-old who's grabbing you by the head, 911 is the answer. You would come to us to find the healing and to make the master plan. But in the middle, if there's something going on and you're in danger, there's no being logical with somebody who's out of control. Are you with me on that? So you need to have a plan in place. And so I would say write down your plan, put it in writing, and practice it before the aggressive behavior actually happens. Okay. That's very reactive. What we do mostly is prevent the meltdowns before they start. We prevent meltdowns by validating them, by validating their actions, by telling them how wonderful they are, how great they are, how beautiful everything they do actually is. You know, when Harley takes her potty training pants and puts them on her head, that's just like so beautiful. Like there's no, those go here. It's just like cool. Also when she goes into a meltdown, like it's like the other day she wanted a cookie and I said, oh, you can have a little piece of it here. And before I get any comments, these are homemade oatmeal cookies with good ingredients that I made for her. So she has a little crumb. If you want the whole cookie, all you got to do is sit in your chair. So I gave her a little part of the cookie. She went into a cry because that's what they do. And all we do in that point is just go, well, that's one way to communicate. Did you want the whole cookie? I reminded her of what she wanted and showed her the plan on how she could make it happen. Within 10 to 30 seconds, she was walking over and sitting in her chair and having her what she wanted. So that's it. They have a goal. They need you to create the master plan. It could be to count to 5. Stand there and count to 5. If your child has ADHD, they need to practice self-control and they need to practice focus. If your child has ODD, well, they definitely need validation and they also need to practice self-control and they need crystal clear plans on how they can make the things important to them show up. And so, Jessica, how about the iPads? There is a universal truth called cause and effect. This means that every effect has a cause and every cause has an effect. Everything you do, the facial expression, the tone you use, the intention you have, the thoughts that you think when your child is asking for something, everything matters. And so when you can get this and you can see this, and your intention becomes, I want you to have everything important to you. My job is to give you proactive attention with conscious life skills training and to help you follow a plan to achieve your goal. These are universal truths. They work every single time. So I would say, Jessica, is an iPad a right or a privilege? So my advice to you right now, anybody watching, and it's the first thing that, well, it's the second thing that we do. It's in the first thing that we do with our clients is we have them play detective for a month so that they can put together their master family plan. If you're reading the Learn to Speak Kid book, chapter 1 is all about knowing your role as a parent is to prepare your kids for life. And one of the first exercises or questions in here is to make a list of privileges that exist in your house right now that your children have access to for free. Because anytime that we give access to privileges without having them earn it first, we're
Or with
defying the
strings
law,
attached.
or with strings attached. I'll give to you first, then you cooperate with me. Yeah, then we're bribing. So, and that's a negative vibration as well.
That's authoritative
Explaining,
parenting.
justifying, lecturing are all negative energy, and you're going to get a negative result. You're just going to take a kid and make it explode even
Yep.
more when you try to justify your point. Okay, all they want is a plan. I want the iPad. Awesome. I would love for you to have the iPad. Tell me what you want to do on the iPad. What is it you like about the iPad? You're playing games? Are you learning something? How long do you want to play the iPad for? 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? I want to play for forever. I want to play forever and ever. Awesome. I would love that for you. Here's a plan on how you can do 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. If you want to play forever and ever, I mean, then that's when they're 18 or 25 and they live in their own house and they can do whatever the heck they want to do. But for right now, you're the parent. Parents make decisions, children make choices. So did she answer me yet? No, she didn't answer me yet.
Here's the other plus one that's off everybody's radar. I'm going to echo back any type of question. If you take it personal, you miss the point. Just stay open like a parachute. Okay. If I were to ask you as my flight instructor for parachuting and we jumped out of a perfectly good airplane and we're already out of the plane and I'm like, excuse me, I forgot my parachute. What do I do? Many of these questions come with this. Now, let's just use logic. Could you also agree that there could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 steps that would be called a proper procedure, not an opinion, that should and are in place before you got there? And if you're with me on this, go, yes, it's contradictory to my case, but yes, I agree. When you start to introduce these things, you're going to find also that there is in the book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 principles that are going to be like ingredients that are missing. So you might have 1 or 2, but when you have all 12, that question will just be history. So the long and the short is, are you open to question anything and everything you think you know about parenting might not be serving you, and replace them with these 12 ingredients, better known as principles, that are not an opinion? This is how they are proven. I can come to your house and demonstrate them, and you will see them, and you think like, well, you're special. No, I'm not special. I just use something that you have as a missing life skill, and that is the God honest truth.
That's awesome. Jessica says, gotcha. I need to go back and read the book. through again and study more. Yeah, absolutely. It's all in there, but it's like you can only perceive what you believe, if that makes sense.
Yep.
When you read the book the first time, and if you're just joining us, show them the book. This is the Learn to Speak Kid book. You can get it on Amazon. Um, but when you read it the first time, we're seeing through the lens of what we know, which is authoritative parenting, this whole gentle parenting movement, yada yada. So you're going to read it through those lenses. When you read it the second time through, you might have a little bit more developed neural pathways. Your beliefs may have changed a little bit. You might see a little more. But I remember listening to an audio cassette tape back in, I want to say 2000 and 2002, because that's when we had audio cassette tapes.
Yeah, we just graduated 8
You might
track.
be as old as the cassette tape is, but we used to have this cassette tape, and it was the only one I had. We didn't have YouTube or anything like that back then, so I would just listen to this one cassette tape that I had again and again and again, and I listened to it every day for over a year before I really got the message. So just know repetition is a second law of learning. You're a gold star member on the Creating Champions for Life app. So get in there every day and push play as you're cleaning your house, cooking dinner, etc., etc. Listen to it as often as you can, because that's the path that you're on right now to transform your parenting.
Yes.
Yes, it is definitely a privilege. So everything, what's a privilege in your house? Is watching TV a privilege? Is Friday night movie night a privilege? I used to take my kids to the movies, pay for everything, buy the big bag of popcorn, get them all their own little individual bags and their little diggity, and they had, like, they were just spoiled rotten, thinking that I was just being a great mom, giving them the life I always wanted. And that thought right there is going to keep us stuck in purgatory. The kids didn't want the life I always wanted. They want the life they choose for themselves. They have their own thumbprint. They are their own little tiny human beings. They need you to be their leader. We call them big kid trusted advisor, rather than the boundary holder. If you're a boundary holder and you're telling them what to do, and you want them to be a certain way, you want them to be like you're going to have power struggles, and the more you push your agenda, the bigger the struggles are going to become. So I don't have any other questions. We're 10 after 9 Mountain Standard Time, and I want to close with this. I love this book. This is The Law of Success. Um, I think 16 principles he's got in here on success. Now, what is awesome is right in the beginning on page 24, he's talking about two boys that it was his job in his early 20s to go deliver $100 checks each to these two boys. And as he was delivering the checks, Napoleon Hill was like, well, I wish somebody would give me $100 a month just for breathing. And he was a little bit like jealous. But when you fast forward 20 years, one of them ended up taking his own life. The other one ended up in an insane asylum. They brought home from college more than a degree, right? They brought home from college the habit of drinking and drugging and partying, and it didn't turn out very well. And so when we're teaching parents that to have privileges in your house be a goal that your child can earn through a proactive parent approved plan, we're right on the money if what you want is a healthy, happy, cooperative, successful human being. But he says here, he says, far from being a disadvantage, struggle. So we live in a world of immediate gratification where there is no struggle. So in order to create a little bit of struggle so that their brains can grow and they can become independent thinkers, I'm wiggling because I'm picturing a butterfly struggling to get out of the cocoon. If you help the butterfly out of the cocoon, it flops out with wet wings and it struggles to crawl on the earth for the remainder of its days. It will never have the ability to fly.
True.
We're here to teach you how to help your children fly. Yes?
Yes.
If that's you, you're in the right place. But he says, far from being a disadvantage, struggle is a decided advantage because it develops those qualities that would forever lie dormant without it.
Da, 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 da.
Focus, self control, self discipline, contentment. Like, okay, I'm going to go on and on. So, all of these characteristics that our children are missing, it's because of this right here. This is so powerful. Qualities that would forever lie dormant. Like, that just hit me in the head. I've read this 150 times. I've read it to you on the camera. Because what's missing when our children are diagnosed with a behavior disorder, they're missing qualities. And if we don't get this, they're going to lie dormant forever. Oh my gosh.
Like a missing ingredient when you cook.
Oh.
Everybody knows that if you're missing one ingredient, it won't
It,
rise. This is,
yeah,
we know it there,
yeah,
but somehow we miss it here
correct.
until now.
All right. Many a man and woman has found his place in the world because of having been forced to struggle for existence early in life. Now, this book was written in the 1920s, at the end of the 1920s. They were just going through the Great Depression, or maybe just coming out of the Great Depression at the time that this book was actually published. So when he's talking about struggle, he's talking about struggle back then, and they were struggling to live, not struggling to earn an iPad time. Okay? Lack of knowledge of the advantages accruing from struggle has prompted many a parent to say, I had to work hard when I was young, but I shall see to it that my children have an easy time. Poor, foolish creatures. An easy time usually turns out to be a greater handicap than the average young man or woman can survive. There are worse things in this world than being forced to work in early life. Forced idleness is far worse than forced labor.
True.
Being forced to work and forced to do your best will breed in you temperance, self control, strength of will, and content, and 100 other virtues that the idle will never know. Wow. That is just so powerful. It kind of sums up today's session in a really beautiful way. When a child has a goal and a plan to achieve the goal, and we allow them the opportunity to rise, they will develop all the characteristics, all the neural pathways that they need to cooperate and to live a successful life.
True.
All right. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for liking our video, sharing a comment, sharing it out, letting people know that we're here. We really appreciate that. The children of the world appreciate you as we come here, champions of children, and come here to breathe life into you, your ability to parent,
Yes.
to bring families together, to reclaim peace in your home. If you're ready, we do have a 90-minute masterclass. The link will be provided below in the description. That'll totally transform how you look at parenting and show you the path to positively impact and transform your family in 90 days or less. And until we meet again,
here's
to our
to our
parenting
parenting
success.
success. Cheers, everyone. Bye for now.